Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, in my previous video I have given some idea of this concept of flow, of the idea of khushu', fana and baka within the preview of Islamic psychology or modern psychology, we can call that, and how the fusion between psychology and Islamic metaphysics is something that we can do a lot of research and a lot of studies. So there will be some question. We talk about brain waves. As I mentioned, that is coherence in terms of our brain waves, starting from our beta, alpha, theta, gamma, and then the delta brain waves. So how are these being measured, and why it is important for us to understand this psychology of optimum performance of flow and the psychology of khushu', fana and baka in a way of a qiyas or just inference. I'm not saying that we are having the whole new metaphysical model of understanding from the Islamic idea of fana, because as I mentioned earlier, fana has many levels and many variation depending on which great scholars you are reading their manuscript, all right? And baka also has many references and also state or hal in which they are in every situation. But I'm giving this an Islamic psychology preview to a greater understanding, inshallah. In future, when we have our Post-Islamic Psychology Center, Research Center, we can do a lot of research, because neurology, brain science is something that is getting so pervasive, and this is the decade of the brain. So is it the brain, only the brain, or is the brain that has connection with from the Islamic theology or metaphysics that we have al-akal al-juzi and al-akal al-kulli. The brain is not just the brain, but the brain is connected to the supraconscious consciousness of al-akal al-kulli, and how the brain is connected to our occult, our heart, and how all is related to a coherence in terms of the spiritual, emotional, mental, and the physical self. So I'm going to give you some idea, and we'll expand this on the nature of brain waves and how these research are being done, just as a precursor, so that we will understand what we are talking about. Because remember, our brain waves, there are ranges of brain waves. How do we measure all our beta, alpha, theta, delta, gamma, and so on? This we use EEG. All right, there are up to 200 or 300. Some even have higher number of sensors. They put a cap on you, and they have all the sensors all over your brain from the front to the back, and so on. So you have this EEG, and you put it on the cap, and then you can measure it with software. All right, or you can use functional MRI, in which together they have attachment that you can then measure also the brainwave pattern plus the blood flow pattern within the functional MRI. So what does this represent in terms of brain waves, and how is it connected to our brain state? For example, we have this, say, beta wave. Beta waves range from, all right, 13 to 50 cycles per second, CPS cycles per second. So how do they measure? That means your brain wave is giving a cycle. All right, so that cycle is just like your heartbeat. All right, you have, all right, 72 cycles per minute. All right, so they have this brain wave in terms of the pattern. All right, so when we look at beta at this, for example, they have three types of beta: high beta, mid beta, and low beta. High beta from 22 to 50 cycles per second is when you are stressed, when you are in flight or fight or flight mode, when you are frustrated, when you're anguished, when you are having all kind of psychological problems, when you are having anger and all that. So that is high beta. Mid is when 16 to 20 cycles per second is when you are aware of your work. For example, you're doing your work, crunching your numbers or running your computers or teaching or learning and so on. That is the 16 to 20 cycles per second. And then low beta is where it is coming to alpha, where you are more concentrated, more focused. All right, so that will be your normal state, your alpha. Then you come to the your beta, then you come to the alpha. Alpha is from 8 to 13 cycles per second. So this is when you're under relaxed state, when you can learn. This is where optimal learning takes place, because this is your conscious mind. Your beta wave and the alpha wave is your conscious mind. Then as we go deeper, you have the theta, that is 4 to 8 cycles per second, and delta 1 to 4 cycles per second. And then if you have gamma, gamma is a full attention super consciousness. This is a different idea which we'll discuss later. But these are the beta, alpha, theta, delta. And delta always occur when you are in sleep. Alright? But or you can have consciousness when you are in meditative state or in the state of khushu'. Alright? So when we talk about beta and alpha, this is your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is only 5%. And then your theta, delta, and all of it is your subconscious mind. But in Islam, we have supraconscious mind. So how does this relate to? When you are in the state of peace and tranquility, you will then, your brain wave pattern will show that theta, delta brain function. But not only that, it show that this is a theta, delta brain function, it also show the synergy or the coherence, which I'm going to explain to you in the next video, inshallah, of how it is linked to our the function of our akal. So when we talk about the conscious and the unconscious, the conscious is the beta and the alpha. The unconscious is the alpha, theta, delta. So this is the unconscious. The supraconscious will be all of it. So when we understand all this, then we know that the function of, for example, what we talk about al-akal al-juzi. Al-akal al-juzi is beta and alpha, and then alpha, theta, delta, subconscious. So the 5% conscious, 95% unconscious constitute your akal al-juzi. Alright? And how this akal al-juzi is linked to the akal al-kulli, and how it is related to your spiritual, emotional, mental coherence. This is where there is a lot of work that we can be done, but now there are plenty of research done by a lot of universities on mindful state, on flow state, on meditation, and so many of them are coming with very positive result that shows that if we are always able to bring our wave from beta to alpha and theta, at least we are in a relaxed state, we are in a happy state, we are always conscious of Allah, from the Islamic perspective, conscious of the higher power. Alright? And we receive what they say is love, gratitude, compassion, mercy. All those are all described in the books of Islamic metaphysics and Islamic psychology of the ancient scholars. They all written all those things. But it is up to us now to rediscover this beauty and how this can be then fused with modern psychology, and using all the scientific equipment in terms of EEG, PET scan, functional MRI, and whatever tools that we have to study our brain, and then to study that our brain is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that this gift give us the understanding of the reality that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our creator. He gave us this beautiful brain, but that is not the only beautiful brain, because the beautiful brain not only consider the conscious, the subconscious, but we have a supraconscious that is linked to the universal consciousness which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained at the point when He ordained our existence and ordained the existence of this universe, when He command us to exist and this universe to exist, when He says innama amru iza arada shay'an an yaqula lahu kun fayakun. All that we see, that we can discover, that we can learn, is all there for us as a dish for our higher intelligence and knowledge, using all the faculties that Allah has given us in terms of akal al-juzi, both the subconscious and the conscious and the subconscious, to achieve the best, to become an achiever in life, to strive to be the Khalifa of Allah on this, striving always to make ourselves good, helping others to be good, and making the world good, inshallah.